Coming up on Bloom, it's your chance to swim alongside three-time Olympic champion Brooke Bennett for a good cause.
For me to be able to just be passionate about what I do or be passionate about the years that I was swimming, to now work with the foundation that help youth to be able to participate in youth sports.
And get red carpet ready for the annual Runway for a Cause happening in Tampa Bay. And a foundation providing housing and care for the vulnerable. We'll have all that and more as Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging, starts now. I'm Gayle Guyardo. Welcome to Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging. We are celebrating extraordinary, dynamic people motivated to make this world a better place. And I am joined by three-time Olympic gold medalist Brooke Bennett. Brooke, it is so good to see you again.
Absolutely, thank you.
I know you have a big event coming up, but I want to talk a little bit about you and how you've been immersing yourself in the Tampa Bay area and beyond to make a difference.
That's a big word, immersing myself, and I think I've said this to you before and numerous times, that I feel so lucky and blessed that I'm born and raised in the Tampa Bay area. So I've been able to accomplish great things in my swimming career and winning the Olympic medals and bringing them back home and sharing them with this community. But then to raise my kids and then to work for a foundation here locally in Pinellas County, that I am able just to fully embrace this community and kind of still feel like that hometown hero. I feel very blessed and lucky to have that opportunity.
Yeah, and you know, we've got the Summer Olympics coming up, and I don't want to give dates of when I first got to talk to you because we do have a trivia question coming up, and I want to make it hard on our viewers. I'm just kidding. I don't want to make it hard on them, but it is a fun trivia question. But I remember having the opportunity to talk to you on the radio very early on in my career here, and you know, to have an Olympian in our city and in our community is a big deal.
Again, it's, you know, you as an individual, I have this dream. And so many times, and really day in and day out of all those years of rigorous training, it's me and a black line in the pool. But then as I really started getting into it, and the people that I got to meet, the fans that I got to realize that I have or still have as I post things up on my social media, to realize that the community still embraces me as that hero. And so I know some of the times when I was training or racing, I really had that feeling that I was not doing this just for myself. I was really doing it for the Tampa Bay community.
Yeah, and you know, you were born and raised here. I was born and raised here, and I think that there's a certain sense of pride because growing up in this incredible community, we always knew how great Tampa is. Now the world, I mean, everybody is talking about Tampa, and you're here on the front lines, and that's what the whole theme of our show is, being on the front lines, and that means a lot when it comes to just people living in our community actually taking actionable steps and making a difference. So talk to me about some of the things that you do.
Well, and it is. I mean, it's a tourist town. We talk about how great Tampa Bay is. We have great professional teams here. We have beautiful beaches. So I do want to have that opportunity to go out and say what a great community is. And I think great communities come with great leaders in the community, from great role models in the community. So for me to be able to just be passionate about what I do or be passionate about the years that I was swimming, to now work with the foundation that help youth to be able to participate in youth sports, all of those things are good opportunities to continue from the adults that we've become and now the children that we're raising, that I want my kids to see the beauty of this area, and I want them to learn and grow, and they're going to take over and be the examples for the Tampa Bay area. So working with the Youth Foundation to spread that and to spread that mission and help give them things to guide themselves to be good role models, to take good roles in their life, that's going to continue to show the nation and the world what a great area Tampa Bay is.
And working with youth, I know you're very family centric. I know your children are your everything.
Yes.
And working with other youth is very important to you. I mean, we talk about sports on this show a lot, about from sports to the C-suite, the discipline that you learn, the team spirit that you learned. There's a lot to be said about what you're teaching youth.
Absolutely. And I mean, the percentage of athletes that make it to my level, that make it to the NFL, that make it to the NBA, that make it to the NHL, all those, it's less than 1%. But all of those children that are coming up, and they have the role models of those athletes that are up there. But what are we also teaching them? We're teaching them to be goal-oriented. We're teaching them to accept failure and defeat and learn how to grow from that. I say some of my hardest events and some of my most rewarding ones are the ones that didn't go my way. But how do you rebound from that to stay on track and stay focused to continue to go for that dream, which for me was to become an Olympic gold medalist. But I get derailed, but then you get back on. So we're guiding today's youth with all the distractions that they have. By playing youth sports, learning those key things, they're going to be better at home, they're going to be better in school, they're going to be better when they have to go out and they have to interact and have real jobs, and when our kids become adults, right? They want to be grown up so fast. We say, no, you're still a kid. But by setting these examples and allowing my kids to see my examples of continuing to compete, continuing to train, staying on task, that hopefully I'm doing a good job in guiding them on the right tracks. And we can get derailed at times, but we bounce back on those tracks.
All right, here's the good news. Brooke is sticking around. We're going to share this incredible story on BloomTampaBay.com. And when we come back, Brooke is sharing more about her event tied with the Crisis Center of Tampa Bay, Strokes for Hope. But we're thrilled Brooke joined us on our podcast, the Bloom Health Club and the WFLA Now Streaming Center, to continue this incredible conversation. You can stream full episodes anytime on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. We'll be back with more Bloom right after this. You're watching Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging, saving lives through early detection. Call now 813-582-5222 to schedule your scan today. Living the Tampa Bay lifestyle means enjoying the sand, sun, and outdoors fun. So get out, get active, and nurture those healthy habits. Hey there, I'm Gayle Guyardo, host of Bloom. Now there's a new all-inclusive place with everything you need to shape your lifestyle, boost your health, and improve your wellness. BloomTampaBay.com, Tampa Bay's premier health and wellness website, made to help you feel good. Whether you're a fitness fanatic, beauty buff, or just want to take your first step towards positive change, this free website is for you. See the Bay Area's hottest fitness products, the latest workout crazes, and learn nutrition tips from the experts. Plus, discover local events and experiences designed with your well-being in mind. Cultivate a healthy mind, body, and soul. Check out BloomTampaBay.com, your local health and wellness website. That's BloomTampaBay.com. Welcome back to Bloom. There's a chance for you to swim with three-time Olympic gold medalist Brooke Bennett, who is on the front line spearheading an incredible event called Strokes for Hope, a 10K open water swim to raise awareness and funds for the Crisis Center of Tampa Bay. Joining me now is three-time Olympic gold medalist Brooke Bennett. She is back alongside the president and CEO of the Crisis Center of Tampa Bay, Clara Reynolds. It is great to see you both. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. Hello, Brooke. Nice to see you.
Great to see you.
So talk to me a little bit about the dynamic of you two meeting and coming together. I was watching a video of you guys on YouTube, and I love how you are working together.
Well, our story goes way, way, way back in the day, that we were actually teammates on my first swim team at the Tampa Bay Rays at the Inner Bay Boys and Girls Club.
Really?
Yes. Yeah. So I joined the team when I was 6 years old, and Clara was
I was 16.
She was already swimming, and so we were teammates.
Yeah, and it was so much fun, and just it's just amazing. Even back then, I knew that Brookie was going to be an Olympian. I mean, she had that mindset, she had that goal. And it's been so much fun to reconnect with her.
Yes.
And just to explore this opportunity of swimming together.
That is so cool. So talk to us about the history of Stroke for Hope 10K swim.
So when I came to the Crisis Center in 2015, we wanted to bring awareness, and a lot of organizations, a lot of nonprofits do like 5K races. I can't run, but swimming had always been a part of my life. It had been part of my self-care, and so we decided to start a swimming event. And so what started off as a really small event has now grown, and so it's an opportunity for us to highlight the amazing water that we have in the Tampa area, and also that there are so many incredible swimmers. There's certainly Brooke, but there are just so many swimmers in our state and locally that do open water swimming. So it was just a fun way to bring awareness to the work that we do, as well as to bring together lots of swimmers to do a fun event.
Yeah, it's kind of fun. I see them with their little buoys in tow. Sometimes I'll just see some swimmer, you know, right there in Tampa Bay, just swimming along. I mean, talk to me about the experience of an open swim.
So, well, and you bring up a great point. So in order for swimmers and marathon swimmers to qualify for like to do the English Channel or Catalina, they're based off of like water temps and then the distance. And so actually the swim that Strokes for Hope does around Davis Island and Harbor Island in the wintertime, if any of those people living in that area and you see swimmers on days where it's just frigid cold and you're like, I would never get in, they're actually out trying to complete that 6-mile course because the water temp is favorable in the wintertime here on what they would be experiencing in the English Channel in that time frame, and that's normally a lot of those swimmers will do that course August and September. So we have like Claire said, we have a lot of open water swimmers in this community that any body of water we can find, we're going to swim in. The only thing that I say is I don't favor lakes and rivers because I'm terrified of alligators. But of course, everybody's going to ask us about the guys in gray suits. My answer to that is sharks are mythical and mermaids are real.
Yes,
exactly. And they can be curious, but as a swimmer on top of the surface, they're not really going to entertain or be interested in us. So we are all safe out in the Tampa Bay waters.
Yeah, it's funny. I was just down in Puerto Rico with my family and we were swimming and there's a shark that went by and a nice sized one, about 5'5", like my daughter. And we weren't even scared. You swim with them and they're curious. You don't want to chase them. No, but I mean, they just go zip right on by you. This is all for a really good cause. Claire, talk to me about the Crisis Center of Tampa Bay and the tremendous work that you do.
Well, our mission is to ensure that no one in our community has to face crisis alone. And crisis looks very different for all of us. What may be a crisis for Brooke may not be for me and vice versa. So this is a wonderful opportunity for us to raise awareness that in our community, in the Tampa Bay area, there's a place that you can go, and you can go by calling 211 to get any kind of help and support that you need 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And there are so many amazing nonprofits in our community. It's sometimes hard with all of us to be able to stand out. And really that's what we're trying to do with Strokes for Hope, is to take a swimming opportunity, utilize the incredible Brooke Bennett, again, to bring awareness that all of us struggle at some point in our lives, but we don't have to face that alone. There's help available.
Yeah, incredible. And anytime that you can swim with a champion like this, you got to get out there. The Strokes for Hope 10K swim is this coming Saturday, March 23rd. We'll put everything that you need to know on bloomtampabay.com. And before we go to break, it is time for today's Bloom trivia question. What year did Brooke Bennett win her first gold medal? The 1996 Summer Olympics or the 2000 Summer Olympics? We'll have the answer later on Bloom. You're watching Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging, saving lives through early detection. Call now 813-582-5222 to schedule your scan today. There is a movement in our state and nationwide to radically change the child welfare system, and there is a way that you can help. Here to tell us how is the Executive Director of Florida 127, Brian Strasser, along with Care Portal Regional Manager Ann Billow. It's a pleasure to see you both. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having us.
So tell me a little bit more about Florida 127 and how it fits in, because I know Care Portal is kind of the big umbrella and you oversee the Florida branch.
Correct, absolutely. So Florida 127 is a bridge organization. our goal is to connect the community and churches into the child welfare system. So many times both systems don't understand both sides. So our goal is to make those connections on an ongoing basis.
So there are so many kids. I know Hillsborough County and the Tampa Bay area, we really lead the state when it comes to need. And you know, people hear, oh, foster care, but they don't realize what the need is and how the government just doesn't handle everything. I mean, organizations like yours with boots on the ground, I mean, you're really making a difference. It's a hands-on approach.
Absolutely. Something else that maybe we don't all understand is how the different agencies don't always communicate with one another. They certainly don't have the funding they need to meet the needs that are out there, and there is a shortage of caseworkers. So when we bring the volunteers and the individuals with the resources who want to meet the needs together with these organizations to meet them, we can do so much more good together than the government can do alone.
Yeah, my oldest daughter, Katie, called me about this. She was at her church, First Pres, you know, here in the heart of South Tampa, and she's like, Mom, there's this really cool organization, Florida 127, and she connected you and I didn't realize that people can't always take in a foster child, but there's so much that we can do to support you.
Absolutely. For years, our churches got really good at calling people to become foster families, but that's not for everybody. And the reality is we don't need everyone to be a foster home. So we looked at it and said, what else could our people, through the churches and through the community, what could they do that has tangible actions but also helps relationally serve these families? So we have several programs that help churches to engage in that. The one of which has been growing the most is Care Portal. Care Portal is a national movement. They've been in, I think they're in 27 states now, and we have been growing in Florida. We launched in Tampa Bay 3.5 years ago. And it really allows people to step in and meet a tangible need and make a meaningful connection to help that family grow. The children, most importantly, help them grow and find healing that they didn't have before.
Yeah, and for folks out there watching, like, well, doesn't the state pay people to take in foster care? Sure, but we all know we're living in high inflation. This is a nominal amount of money. Most people that take in children in foster care are doing it out of the goodness of their heart. I mean, this could be as easy as, I need a bed, I need clothes, I need this, I need that. Boom, that's when the boots on the ground go into action, and you actually train people to help.
Yes, we do. We come into churches and we equip what are called response teams. We let them know information that they wouldn't get otherwise. We tell them about trauma. We tell them about respecting their dignity. We talk about poverty and the disparity in different communities and the things that they're going to see that maybe aren't going to make sense to them, and they're going to wonder, well, why does this person need this when they seem to have all that? But we help them to understand those things, break down those barriers, so that helping them and actually getting to the heart of what they need, and then more importantly, getting them into community where they can continue to receive ongoing care and support.
And this, you know, I want to talk to me about Florida 127. I mean, this is biblically based. It is really our responsibility as humans, as part of our community, to help others.
Absolutely. So Florida 127, we named it from James 1:27, which in Scripture is a mandate to care for the orphan. And we look at it in terms of modern day orphan. And there's another part of that Scripture that we often forget about, and we're so focused on. It says, you know, care for the orphan, but remain unstained by the world. And we really believe remaining unstained is just turning a blind eye and not doing something. And so much of child welfare and vulnerable children, they are children, and it's not their story to share. Or, I'm sorry, it's not our story, it's theirs, but we have to keep that private. And that's why there's been so many challenges for finding out what are the true needs, because it is private. Well, Care Portal is a platform that allows us to share a little bit about the story by keeping privacy and dignity and allowing the persons to step in at the right time, in real time. So that's been the biggest impact that we've been able to do and engage people in whole new ways. As well as you mentioned with foster families, foster care has changed so much over the last couple of years in Florida and across the nation. Here in Tampa Bay, the majority of children that have been removed because it's not safe, they're living now temporarily with family, what they call relative caregivers, non-relative caregivers, connections, someone that knows the family already.
And this is then these are the people
Exactly.
that need the help.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, thank you both so much for sharing what you do. I think it's phenomenal. And a shout out to First Pres. We have Kathy Connor on the show quite often, and to my daughter Katie for sharing this story with me. I really appreciate you guys coming in to share it with our Bloom viewers.
Yeah. Well, thanks for having us.
Thank you very much.
And we're going to connect you with Florida 127 and the Care Portal on BloomTampaBay.com. And when we come back, we're getting you red carpet ready for the 3rd annual Runway for a Cause. We'll tell you more about it when Bloom returns. Welcome back to Bloom. There's a lot of buzz about an event that sells out every year, so we wanted to give you an early heads up. Everyone is getting red carpet ready for the 3rd annual Runway for a Cause. Joining me now is Beasley Media Group's Sharon Conklin and Q105's morning show co-host Roxanne Wilder and the CEO of Rooted Holistic Health, Jennifer Jenkins. Ladies, welcome to Bloom.
Thank you so much for having us, Gayle. We're so excited to be here.
Gosh, we're just so excited to have you all. So this is a great fashion show in its 3rd year now.
Yes.
And it's really grown. That's why I wanted to get it out to our viewers now, because people love this event.
Yes, yes, and we love putting it together as well. And it's all to benefit the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society Visionary of the Year campaign, which Jennifer Jenkins is our all-star candidate this year. She was actually Woman of the Year in 2020, so she is now running on a national platform. And the fashion show is so much fun. We have Beasley personalities. Roxanne Wilder from Q105 is our host, and we will have Gayle Guyardo as one of the models, which I'm really excited about.
Well, I have to tell you how this all came about. I really genuinely wanted to get my hands on some tickets. So I was sending the links to my friends Anastasia and Martha. I'm like, girls, we got to go to this. I'm reaching out to you to make sure I don't miss the opportunity. And you're like, hey, be in it. And I'm like so excited because Roxanne, this is a fun event. And Christy Balderrama's in it, who does Toto Tampa Bay. A lot of fun girls.
We love Christy, of course, Meredith from Wild, Babs from Wild. So all this radio girls, and then you're really going to class it up being part of it, Gayle, being
well, thank
the TV
you.
side of it. And then we also have a model.
Yes,
Brittany
we
Bauer
do,
from
Brittany
America's Top
Bauer.
Model.
Wow.
So she'll be part of it as well. And it's a little bit laid back, but the fashion is high end, obviously from sweet Southern chic. So you can see some of the dresses that we looked at earlier. You've got everything from going out looks to, more formal, and then you have what's in fashion for summer, some bathing suits. So all the good stuff that you see at fashion shows, but it's a lot of fun. It's high energy for sure.
Yeah, and the venue is really hot too.
Yes.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. So it's going to be at Union this year. That's going to be really great. Talk to me a little bit about, your big 2020 win and now this new national, that you're really spreading the good word about what you do.
It's just it's so beautiful to watch. So many people come forward that are like-minded, heart-centered, that are just putting this together for a good cause. And that's really what this is about. I'm just the vehicle that is really here to support and to be a part of this too. I mean, I couldn't, obviously it takes everybody. I'm a little pea in the pond of this whole thing, and I'm just so grateful to be a part of this and to see Sharon and Roxanne and you and everyone come together just for a good cause.
Yeah, and it is for a good cause, and I think it really speaks to the fact that, and Roxanne, you can talk about this too, when it comes to Tampa Bay coming together and lifting and, personalities like yourself. I know you wake up early. I listen to you on the radio in the morning, and I know you do a lot for your job, and you're a mom. But coming together as a community is really important, and people like yourselves that are doing this really make a difference.
I'm glad you brought that up because it gives me an opportunity to say how proud I am of Sharon, because she did this. She started this 3 years ago, and it was part of her Woman of the Year campaign, and she was like, let's keep this going, let's keep this fundraising, doing something for a good cause, let's keep it going. And all the women who I work with at Beasley, and now you part of it, but they were more than happy to come together to help us make it work. So it's awesome.
Sharon, thank you so much for throwing the TV girl a bone. Because, of course. To be honest with you, I really was genuinely, and I am genuinely excited to be a part of this. And just to be a spectator in the crowd is really fun too, and I think it's so cool that you're kind of keeping a legacy alive on a personal level.
Yes, it's fun. I mean, and we also, you know, outside of the beautiful fashions and the amazing models that we have a silent auction that is going to provide some one-of-a-kind things like Taylor Swift signed album covers. And yes, we have Buccaneers signed helmets and jerseys from some of the players I won't mention. A lot of cool things that you could pick up at the silent auction as well. And I guess we should mention the unlimited mimosas that we'll have.
Sign me up. I love that.
For the bottles too.
Yes.
And I understand you're going to be honoring a 9-year-old, Dylan Bartini.
Yes.
So we'll also get to understand why we're there.
Yes, yes, and she's incredible. She's a 9-year-old leukemia patient, and she's been through the ringer, and she has an amazing attitude. She's, you know, just so cute and so full of, you know, very spunky, and she'll actually be there at the fashion show. I'm very excited that she's going to be there with us, so everyone will get to meet her and hear her story as well.
Well, I want to thank the 3 of you for coming on and for all you do in the community to lift up Tampa Bay. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Gayle.
Gayle.
We'll see you there.
I can't wait. And we're going to share how you can grab tickets on bloomtampabay.com. And coming up, we'll tell you about an incredible foundation providing housing and care to the vulnerable. Bloom will be right back. You're watching Bloom, presented by Lifeguard Imaging. We begin where your checkup ends. Call now 813-582-5222 to schedule your scan today. Welcome back to Bloom. There is no doubt where you find poverty, you find vulnerability, something people on the front lines fighting human trafficking are trying to raise awareness about. Joining me now from the No More Foundation is founder Tammy Kent. Tammy, it is such a pleasure to see you.
Oh, thank you for having me.
So today we're talking about people who put their boots on the ground. They're part of Tampa Bay's front lines,
Absolutely.
Tampa Bay and beyond, really. So talk to me about No More Foundation. I've worked with you for years.
Yes.
It's incredible what you do. How did you get involved and how can we support you?
Well, No More exists to connect the community to care for the most vulnerable. And, you know, my personal story getting involved, it roots back to my mama and generations of a legacy of loving and serving the community. But, you know, it's impacted us personally as well. I remember just about 10 years ago, the first time human trafficking became deeply personal for me. It was the first time I had met a survivor and she had poured out her life and her story. And, you know, the reality is she should have died. She wasn't supposed to survive, but she found the will to survive. And there are so many women like her that just don't have a safe place to land. And we were able to come alongside her all those years ago and help provide support and stability just to get her back on her feet. And now she's, oh my gosh, an advocate in the community doing incredible things. And we know that it's possible for each woman when they're wrapped around and they find, you know, that safe place to land and the support from the local community. What can happen in their lives is miraculous.
Yeah, it's interesting how finally, I feel like just now over the last couple of years, people are understanding that this is not something that's just happening overseas.
Right.
This is happening in our backyard.
Right.
And I've gone on missions into strip clubs and I, you know, from the shelter to seeing like clothes being handed out, like there are so many vulnerable young women out there, and we might take it for granted that we tell our daughters, oh, I love you and I support you, but these girls don't have that.
No. And
people prey on the vulnerable.
Exactly. Yeah, they look for those insecurities, those vulnerabilities. 65%, and I think that's probably a low number of human trafficking victims in the U.S. have a history in the foster care system. You know, children without families, children, again, back to, you know, people that don't have that support, no one to go home to on the holidays. I mean, there's just, there are so many ways that people can get involved. And for us as an organization, you know, we did a poll a few years back and found that 152 women had been turned away from transitional support services because there weren't enough beds. And there are some amazing people doing incredible things here in our community. I know you know many of them as we do, but we as an organization we're like, yeah, that's something we can sink our teeth into. There's no reason one person should be turned away from having that help to find healing and restoration. And so we began to bang the drum. You know, we need housing. And in the last 2 years, we've been able to expand capacity here in Tampa, adding more homes, and we actually have a home we're currently renovating, but we've been able to serve over 133 survivors through housing and almost 1,000 women through support services. And we consider it an honor because we know we're just a piece of this. But, you know, like you shared, you know, in Florida, it's an issue. And in many ways, Florida is setting the example for the rest of the country on tackling, you know, awareness and really connecting people to care. But we want to say, why can't we really set the example for the rest of the country when it comes to making sure that no woman is turned away?
And it's interesting because Sheriff Chad Chronister was on the show. We did an entire hour dedicated to helping human trafficking victims. And he said, you know, Gayle, if not for organizations like No More and the others that I know you're very familiar with, he goes, we can capture and help and rescue these victims, but if they don't have a place to go, they're right back out on the street. They're right back to being vulnerable. They're right back to falling into the hands of the people that control them.
Right. Because just like you shared earlier, you know, many of these women not having that support, you know, where do they go? How do they get jobs? You know, when they come out, if they don't have that place to find healing, to begin to dream. You know, we take for granted the fact that, you know, our children dream for their future. Some of these women have never been able to dream because they haven't been able to think about anything other than surviving to the next day, much less like really diving into how and why and what's happened to them. But we're seeing these women at year 1, year 5, year 10. That woman I shared with you about, she stood in front of the Florida State Legislature. She's going back into the dark places. She's working with teens and women and really helping. The women that come out that are survivors and thrivers, they're going back because they're like, I'm not leaving anybody behind. And it's so beautiful that we get to be a part of this big picture.
Speaking of the big picture, there is a great place for the community to come together. You're having a big golf tournament about this.
Yes. We're having our 2nd annual Top Golf Tournament. Even if you can't golf, you can top golf, right? But it's drive out trafficking in Tampa Bay. And so anybody and everybody can come. We've got corporate sponsorships. We've got individual tickets. 100% of the money is going to go. We actually, 2 years ago, had a generous donor that purchased a home. And we've been in the process of renovating this home. We had to pull it all the way back to the studs, but we are renovating this home, and it's set to open this summer. And so every penny that's raised from this fundraiser is going to go to open the doors so that we can serve more women and see freedom, you know, happen in the lives of these beautiful people.
Well, I have to tell you, I think it's incredible what you're doing. I so appreciate you coming on Bloom, because I think, you know, when people hear the backstory and people hear the need, because human trafficking is such a big word, but these are ways that one step at a time that we can make a difference. So thank you so much for sharing the stories.
Oh, thank you for having us on, and we look forward to inviting the community out.
Yeah, come on out. The No More Top Golf Tournament fundraiser in Tampa is happening April 14th. From 1 to 4 p.m. We're going to put everything that you need to know on BloomTampaBay.com. We'll be back with more Bloom right after this.
The following portion of Bloom is sponsored by Central Florida Behavioral Health Network.
There is an incredible community resource providing behavioral health services and bringing hope, help, and recovery to those in need. The Central Florida Behavioral Health Network has teams of people, including a mobile response team with boots on the ground dedicated to helping adults and children in crisis situations. Joining me now to tell us more is the President and CEO, Alan Davidson. Alan, it is great to see you again.
Thank you so much.
So, Alan, I understand that Central Florida Behavioral Health Network is a managing entity. Can you tell us what that means?
Sure. So Central Florida Behavioral Health Network is a managing entity. We are one of 7 managing entities in the state. We're the oldest and the largest in population population. So we go from Pasco County down to Collier into small but mighty Hendry and Glades and the Everglades and up into Polk, Hounds, and Hardy. So we provide hope, help, and healing for those without insurance for mental health needs. And we provide services and fund providers, like 65 of those around the area. So we provide crisis care, residential, outpatient, those types of services for those in need.
And talk to me about some of the special services that you have available, including this mobile team. I think that's so cool that you go out into the communities.
Absolutely. So mobile response teams, they came around 2018 from the guidance of the Department of Children and Families. And so we fund about 11 of those around the area, and they go out into the community when someone calls, and they go out in the community to lessen the trauma and divert from those deeper end services. So just let me go into depth just a little bit. Diversion means they're not going to take up and use a lot of the deeper end services. We can keep them there in the community, and then when you're experiencing a mental health event, it can be pretty traumatic. And so by that team going out into the community and reaching that person where they are, it lessens the trauma, again, so they don't have to access those kind of crisis services, and they can stay in the community.
Yeah, a lot of times when people are in need, they'll pick up the phone and they'll call law enforcement, but how do you go about finding a mobile team to come to you?
Absolutely. So on our website, cfbhn.org, we'll list all of the mobile response teams around our 14 county catchment area, because we would prefer you use a mobile response team and let law enforcement do the things that they're supposed to be doing.
Can you tell us how many calls MRT has handled so far this year?
So year to date, we've handled over 4,000 calls. Our providers have gotten 4,000 calls. It's such tremendous service to the community.
Yeah, and you do have this broad reach getting out into so many different counties, and I think the thousands and thousands of calls that you receive is just, you know, a window into how much you're needed in the community.
Oh, absolutely. 4,000 calls says that we're needed in the community. 4,000 calls says that our stakeholders and our community members trust our providers to be in the community doing services for those in need.
Yeah, I think this is a really amazing concept, and I think to your point, being able to go in mobile and have boots on the ground is because a lot of people don't have the time or the energy to leave. They need you when they need you in their environment.
Those people that are calling these services, they are having transportation issues. Otherwise, they would have gone to someone else. By them picking up the phone and being able to get someone, whether 988 or via our website, they can get someone to come right out to their door and intervene for them.
So cool. Well, thank you so much for sharing this with Bloom viewers.
No, thanks, Gail.
All right, for more information, visit cfbhn.org. We'll be back with more Bloom right after this.
Preceding portion of Bloom was sponsored by Central Florida Behavioral Health Network.
Welcome back to Bloom. Today we're celebrating people on the front lines who make Tampa Bay a better place to live. Joining us now from a very unique social service program called I Support the Girls Tampa Bay is the organization's affiliate director, Nancy Blunt. Nancy, welcome to Bloom.
Thank you for having me.
So I think this is so cool what you do. Tell our viewers, what is I Support the Girls?
Oh, great. I Support the Girls is a global nonprofit organization. We're 50 affiliates strong throughout the world with a common mission of donating and collecting basic essential items like bras, menstrual hygiene products, and underwear, and then returning them to our respective communities to women and girls who are homeless, in need, or impoverished of any type.
And you know, we're talking about the entire show is people on the front lines, people with boots on the ground making a difference, not only in Tampa Bay, but beyond. And when you talk about personal hygiene items like this, I mean, there's all this buzz online with the pink tax and how much young girls and women pay for this. It's a lot of money, and there's a great need.
It's a huge need. And that's why, you know, any organization that reaches out for these products, we make every effort to get them to them. I currently work with 235 different social service agencies in Tampa Bay, having donated approximately 500,000 products, 32,000 bras and 17,000 pairs of underwear, and 460,000 menstrual hygiene products to all these organizations.
How did you become the affiliate director here?
I actually saw a segment on Mike Rowe's YouTube channel called Returning the Favor, featuring Dana Marlowe and the work she was doing in the DC area. And I had worked some organizations here in Tampa Bay, and I knew the need was great. So in 2019, I started the Tampa Bay organization here.
That is really, really incredible. What can we do to support you?
Well, I always need donations. These donations here, for example, and sports bras, lotions, makeup, things that women and young girls might not have access to.
And this is providing a sense of dignity to young girls and making them feel loved and supported.
Absolutely, making them feel worthy and empowered so that they can continue going to school and, you know, not feel embarrassed to ask for these products.
And it comes in this cute little pouch, and do you just hand out the pouches?
Oh, those are pouches we make up. We call them period packs, and they are great for schools, for anyone who might be a little embarrassed to, you know, ask for a product, and you get this cute little bag. So yeah, we put those together, and we also just donate thousands of hygiene items and bras and underwear to schools, group homes, clothing closets, victims of domestic violence and sexual assault survivors, just anyone who reaches out and needs products. If we have them, we will give them to them.
That is really, really incredible. Well, listen, I can't thank you enough for coming on Bloom and sharing more about your organization. It's wonderful.
Thank you so much.
All right, you can find out more about I Support the Girls and read digital reporter and producer Brody Waddell's full article on BloomTampaBay.com. We'll be back with more Bloom right after this. If you're just joining us, three-time Olympic champion Brooke Bennett joined us at the top of our show today, so we're dedicating today's Bloom Trivia question to her. What year did Brooke Bennett win her first gold medal? The 1996 Summer Olympics or the 2000 Summer Olympics? The answer is the 1996 Olympics. Bennett's first gold medal came in the 800-meter freestyle race in Atlanta, Georgia. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to Bloom today. You can catch Bloom anytime by following us on social media. We're on all major platforms, so get a behind-the-scenes look at all of the innovative, breakthrough health and wellness conversations and incredible guests that we have right here on Bloom. And don't forget to check out our podcast, The Bloom Health Club. You can catch it live on Facebook and YouTube on Mondays at 2 p.m. We take a deep dive and have extended conversations with some of the top guests that we have right here on Bloom. Of course, you can stream episodes anytime on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcast. Well, we hope you'll tune in again on the next Bloom presented by Lifeguard Imaging. We're busting nutrition and wellness myths with double certified nutritionist Martha Van Camp. And find out about your chance to run around Raymond James Stadium, a chance to see it from a vantage point you just can't imagine, all while supporting the National Pediatric Cancer Foundation. I had a chance to join in on all the fun, so stay healthy, everyone, and I'll see you on the next Bloom.
Content segments during Bloom were paid for by Central Florida Behavioral Health Network.
Call now 813-582-5222 to schedule your scan today.